This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. Two short-term accommodation giants are now at odds over how Tasmania's market should be regulated. The state government isn't considering further regulation for the sharing economy, despite evidence it's crushing long-term rental availability. One industry heavyweight believes there is a case for change.
Entrepreneur Dick Smith knows Tasmania is booming, today revealing a co-funded tourism upgrade on the Frenchman's Cap Walk. The renowned businessman says the state thrives off its unpopulated appeal.
Sydney's got 5 million, it's going to 10 million. We're basically going to be like Shanghai, and it's wonderful to come to Tassie. Keep the tourism up because they go home, but keep your quality of life.
But peak sector bodies believe tourism is impacting the quality of life for some. Short stay accommodation regarded as a key contributor to the housing crisis as the government attempts to incentivise long-term rentals.
We'd really like to see the regulation of Airbnb. Obviously, we can look at the data and more research, but there's no doubt this is having an impact on long-term rentals.
The government's new pilot program encouraging long-term rentals is surging in support, with 50 emails of interest in 24 hours.
They're trying to have a bet each way. They're trying to look like they're doing something about Airbnb after they completely deregulated it.
For anyone to suggest there's no regulation at all, that's not correct, as I've pointed out in the past. But we have no plans to increase regulations in this area.
Airbnb agrees the industry doesn't need further regulation. With 1,100 listings, the company says it's less than 2% of the local housing market, Hobart with 8 times as many empty homes. The median rent in Hobart just under $400 per week, a better outcome for the property owners, with Airbnb hosts likely to earn $250 a week.
We're saying that there should be a pause on homestay accommodation for new approvals for investment properties in areas of high stress.
Expedia and Stays doesn't believe a pause is necessary but says registration is needed.
Show they've got the required insurances, that they meet minimum standards for health and safety, and that they sign up to a 3 strikes policy to help try and prevent antisocial behaviour.
Airbnb, Expedia and Stays will soon provide data to the government to help spell out a solution. Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
Police have confirmed the identity of the body found near Ellendale last month is that of missing man Trevor Foster. The 81-year-old ooze-man was swept away during the devastating floods of 2016. His body was discovered 3 weeks ago at the Meadowbank Lake, more than 15 kilometres from where he was last seen. The confirmation is likely to bring closure to the community after 2 years of uncertainty. A coroner is questioning the procedures in place at the Mount Lyell copper mine, where 2 miners fell to their deaths in 2013. An inquest into the deaths of Craig Gleeson and Alastair Lucas continued in Hobart today. Coroner Simon Cooper is investigating if the procedures were fit for purpose after the temporary wooden platform the men were working on collapsed. The timing of their rescue is also under examination, with the coroner expecting to hear from those coordinating the recovery. Tomorrow, the inquest will hear evidence relating to the death of a 3rd miner. Michael Walsh died in a mud rush less than 2 months after the double fatality. 8 motorists have been caught drug driving within 3 hours of each other on the outskirts of Launceston. Tasmania Police set up numerous high-visibility random breath and oral tests around the city today as part of a major traffic operation.
So we're just trying to get the message out there to the people that we are out in force. We're seeing results on our drug tests, quite a few, which is very disappointing obviously for Tasmania and for people who use our roads.
At the Lilydale Road site, police also caught a driver with firearm ammunition stored incorrectly in his car. That same motorist was also found to be supplying drugs. More than 2,000 random breath tests were conducted and around 20 oral fluid tests. Passengers on a flight to Launceston this morning were forced to fly back to Melbourne after the captain identified an hydraulic issue. The plane returned safely to the ground, with engineers now undertaking repairs. Passengers were transferred to a later flight. Nearly 200 scientists and environment conservationists have gathered in Hobart this week to discuss the impact of climate change on the Southern Ocean. The Australian Antarctic Division Conference allows experts to study and share knowledge on the changing environment.
So the sort of thing that we're looking at is the potential warming of the ocean, the changing sea ice, the changing acidity of the ocean, the pH of the ocean, the oxygen concentration.
There have been a number of efforts over the years to try to understand the impacts of climate change on these ecosystems, and now we're wanting to estimate the actual amounts of change, both current and in the immediate future.
The conference runs until Friday. Fire investigators will tonight examine the boat that caught fire at the Lindisfarne Marina. The vessel was floated today, 5 days after the blaze destroyed 2 boats. Investigators believe the fire originated from the motor cruiser and will now inspect the vessel to determine the cause. A 90-year-old Invermay woman who was allegedly assaulted at her home on Monday afternoon remains in hospital. Beryl Dix is now in a stable condition after being treated for serious facial injuries. 39-year-old Mowbray man Shane Wilden has been charged with aggravated burglary and assault in relation to the incident. A Tasmanian man has appeared in a Melbourne court accused of going on a drug-fuelled rampage in his camper van. David Rolls drove erratically from the suburb of Burnley to the city. The 38-year-old was forced to stop and was arrested at gunpoint. Rolls is facing 1 count of reckless conduct endangering life, but more charges are expected. The state's up-and-coming touch footy stars have gone head-to-head in Launceston for the 2018 Touch Football Tasmania High School Championships. For first-time players, today was just about participating, while for others it was a chance to make an impression and become eligible to represent the state at the Nationals.
Going for that all-important touchdown. 41 teams from across the state putting weeks of training into practice. Senior teams also vying for one of 2 spots in the National Youth Championships.
We won our first game, but the other team did really good.
The round-robin competition saw each team play 3 16-minute games, the winners then progressing to the finals.
But it's been hot and just muggy, but it's good.
Why have you decided to take part in this?
For a bit of fun, really, and just having a bit of a game. Yeah, something fun to do.
Just come out here, meet some new people, get some exercise as well.
Interest in touch football is rapidly increasing and girls are dominating the game. 14 female Year 9-10 teams entering today's championships, more than any other division.
It's confusing because of all the rules, but then you get used to it a little bit.
Everyone's getting into it. It's a mixed sport. You can play mixed men's or women's, and it's just an inclusive game for everyone.
While many played for the fun, others just wanted
to win.
McKillop's Catholic College scoring the winning touchdown in the boys 9-10 division, Riverside High winning the senior girls. Those 2 teams will now be invited to represent the state in the National Youth Championships.
This year we won the National Touch League in the senior mixed division, so that was the first time a Tasmanian team had ever made the final, and they won, so that was fantastic. So I think this year is going to be our year for touch football in Tassie.
The Nationals will be held in Queensland in September. Monica Dadson at Southern Cross News.
A new kind of treasure hunt created by a Tasmanian associate professor is helping children fall in love with reading. Book Capture was launched today and sees books released into the wild for everyone to find. Once found, students can read the book, log their find on the Book Capture website, write a review and then hide it in a new location.
It'd be really fantastic for the students if the book that they released into the wild ended up in Paris or somewhere else. So yeah, we'd love it to go all over the world.
There are now donated books hidden across the country. Locations and clues to find them are on the Book Capture website. Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. Australian shares have closed lower despite strong performances from energy and mining companies, with the market falling back after 2 sessions of gains sparked by an easing in US-China trade tensions. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 28.3 points. Just a short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 77.53 US cents and 105.32 New Zealand cents.
More than 24 Tasmanians are about to head to Adelaide for the National Special Olympics. Athletes will compete in 5 sports, including basketball.
Yeah, I'll be happy for a couple wins and even a medal if it happens.
Heading to the Games for the first time is Connor Shepherd. The 17-year-old has earned selection after making his mark in local pennant competitions.
I've been watching a lot of tennis, watching Roger Federer and stuff, learning from their techniques.
The best athletes from the Nationals will qualify for the World Special Olympics being hosted by Abu Dhabi next year. Hobart Charges coach Anthony Stewart says we've seen the worst version of the side for the season, following a lacklustre round 1 performance against Kilsyth. But things don't get any easier, taking on the Thunder on the northwest coast this weekend. Clearly not in the mood for media today, Stewart got straight to the point.
Below average, to be fair. Let's not kid ourselves, it wasn't close. What worries me is they're all focused on making NBL and we can't become individuals.
After being touted as the best Chargers side on paper in the club's history, the reality couldn't match the hype in round 1, going down to Kilsyth by 8 points at home.
It was real average. I think we started off slow and then, kind of dug ourselves a hole, and from there it was a tough one to dig out.
Nichols top scored with 25 points, with Melbourne United Championship forward Craig Moller the next best on 22, despite arriving just a day before tip-off.
Craig took off the next morning back to Melbourne to take all his gear up to Sydney. He arrives back tomorrow for good for the rest of the season. So I think you've seen the worst of the Hobart Chargers so far.
We had one training as far as, with the entire group together as a core. So obviously that'll take, a couple more trainings, a couple weeks. But we have good enough players to adjust quick.
Adding salt into the Chargers' wounds, the Northwest Thunder beat the Cobras by 2 points at home the following night, setting up for a fiery showdown in Ulverston this Saturday night when the cross-state rivals meet, with point guard Mason Bragg set to line up for the Thunder, fresh from his NBL season with the Perth Wildcats.
Trey's played against him in the WA League and lit him up like a Christmas tree, so hopefully that will continue.
Well, they're regarded as one of the most daring and talented groups of big wave surfers in the world. A small bunch of Tasmanians testing themselves in conditions that beg a belief. Tyler Holmer-Cross has been on the forefront of it for years, recently earning himself another nomination in the world's premier Big Wave Awards. Towing into this shipstern monster in July last year, Holmer-Cross knew it was a once-in-a-lifetime wave.
We could actually call them the black mambas. You wait for those sort of waves for years, and when you see a big swell line like that, you know that you're on for a good ride.
That ride earning the Tasmanian a nomination in the Best Tube category at the World Surf League's Big Wave Awards in California later this month.
Well, I've won the Australian awards before, and I've actually made the final in this category before as well, but hopefully I can go one better and win it this time.
One of a daring few who tackled the state's uniquely terrifying waves, it was a difficult road back into the water for Holmer-Cross after seeing his brother James suffer one of the worst wipeouts ever seen in the sport at an unforgiving break called Pedra Branca off Tasmania's south coast 3 years ago.
Actually took me a few years to sort of get the courage to get back out there after that, and I don't know, you sort of just mentally have to prepare, and there's some days I've been out there and not even caught waves, so you just have to be in the right frame of mind. I've had a wave down there that was nearly made me give up big wave surfing. It was that scary.
Oh no. Go get it!
Overcoming those mental demons, the next swell is never far from the 31-year-old tradie's mind, and it's safe to say he won't be the last Tasmanian recognised on big wave surfing's world stage.
We all sort of stick together and surf together, and in a way we sort of compete against each other and just try and outdo each other and get the best waves, and it's a really amazing thing that we've got going down here.
Good evening. Cool day in Hobart, wasn't it? 14 degrees, Launceston 23 and Burnie 24. That was the state's highest. Devonport registered 21 degrees. Cloudy conditions today with a few showers over the south. No big falls though. Flinders Island, Low Head, Friendly Beaches and Ooze all 20. King Island 17, Lyell, Weenie and Strawn 16. Grove 14 today. There we have the cloud. Mid to high level cloud over most of Tasmania. A little bit of low level cloud over the far northwest later in the day. A bright mid to high level cloud band extends from Western Australia right through to Tasmania and to the southeast. Convective cloud over the territory, and apart from the cloud offshore over the Coral Sea, the rest of the country mostly clear. Tomorrow a low moves to be near our west coast, connected by a trough to another low further north. A cold front is just south of WA. A high over the Tasman extends a ridge over the eastern states. Pick any direction for the winds tomorrow. East to southeast winds increasing before tending northeasterly, and then a westerly change will develop later in the day. So even though it looks like it will be fighting between the easterlies and westerlies over Bass Strait, that won't be the case tomorrow. A gale warning is on for waters from Sandy Cape to Stanley. A strong wind warning for all remaining coastal waters. A small craft wind alert for the lakes. Hobart, will it warm up from today? 3 better, 17 tomorrow with a bit of rain though, 16 for Cygnet, rainy, and New Norfolk rain and 17 degrees. Launceston won't miss out either, a top of 19 with some wet weather, 19 for Devonport and a top of 17 for Campbelltown. Burnie can expect rain with the winds easing later in the day, 19 the top, 19 also for Smithton. Strawn 18 degrees with some rain. And for the east, rain clearing later from St Helens, 20 the top, 18 for Swansea and Fingal. On Friday, showers over the west and far south easing during the afternoon before redeveloping later. Rain at first on Saturday over the north and west, extending statewide by late morning. And for Sunday, a windy day with showers again over most districts. Showers in Perth and maybe in Melbourne tomorrow. The warm weather continues for Canberra and Sydney with sunny conditions and plus 30 temperatures. A cloudy day in Brisbane, a possible storm for Darwin. Down to 12 right now in Hobart, bit of cloud about, Launceston 17 at the moment and 16 in Devonport. Autumn, Joe, has really set in from now on.
It has indeed. Thank you very much for that, Murph. Well, that's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening. We'll see you with updates. Bye for now.